Hi, my name is Lex Toot, and I will present two propositions to innovate consumer testing in such a way that the results will be more predictive of actual consumer behavior. My first proposition is about the use of implicit measures of food experience for the prediction of consumer behavior. To evaluate consumers' food experience, we can either use explicit or implicit measures. Explicit measures are, for instance, self-report measures like labeled rating tools, questionnaires, and emotional lexicons. Implicit measures are, for instance, physiological measures and behavioral or observational methods. In a recent literature review, we found that explicit verbal self-report measures are currently still the most widely used tools to quantify food experience. More than 60% of the studies in the last 20 years use these self-report tools. Also, most of the measures only address the hedonic aspects of food experience, that is, liking. However, it's widely recognized that verbal self-report measures have several serious drawbacks. They are significantly biased by social demands, for instance when participants feel pressured to provide a desired response. They only provide information about the conscious part of the experience. The reporting effort itself may distract from the experience and thereby affect its evaluation. The results are difficult to compare across cultures because similar words have different connotations in different languages. They are not suitable for continuous measurements and they are memory dependent. Thus, there is a need for implicit, continuous, and preferably unobtrusive measures that can be used in real-life context to provide a more objective evaluation of food-related user experiences. Also, we know that emotion significantly predicts consumer behavior, next to the hedonic aspect of food experience. It's therefore highly important to examine emotional responses in a food-related context, to learn what are the factors that actually drive consumer behavior and how they do so. Factors that can affect food-related emotions are, for instance, social context, multisensory ambient aspects, packaging, and plating. It's very hard or even impossible for people to verbalize and reliably report their own emotions. Therefore, we need implicit measures for the emotional aspects of food experience. Physiological responses like EEG, heart rate, electrodermal activity, and behavioral responses like variation in pupil size, facial expressions, and the amount consumed or sip size are implicit, that is, non-conscious, and continuous or repetitive measures that have a direct relation with emotional experiences. Recent developments in wearable technology make it even feasible to register some of these measures in daily life situations. Since skin conductance, pupil size, and heart rate reflect arousal and EEG brain signals reflect valence, we can relate the consumer's physiological responses to emotion simply by mapping them to Russell's circumplex valence and arousal model of affect. Our recent findings show that there's a general correspondence between implicit and explicit measures, that implicit measures are more sensitive than ratings. Physiology is more reliable for measuring arousal. We need implicit measures when explicit ratings are unreliable, for instance when there is cultural bias or social pressure, when food experience is repeatedly measured, and when we are interested in continuous experiences. So my first proposition is implicit measures of food experience are more informative than explicit measures. My second proposition is about the use of virtual, augmented, or mixed reality in consumer testing. Computer-generated environments are increasingly used to test consumer behavior, which is reflected by the increasing number of consumer studies in virtual reality. However, current VR systems typically only provide audiovisual representations of food-related ambiances, lacking important ambient sensory signals like smell, temperature, airflow, and those signals significantly determine the quality of the overall food experience. Sensix recently introduced the Sensory Experience Pod, that is a cabin that provides the user with a fully immersive 3D experience, including 360 degrees sound and imagery, lighting effects, sense, temperature, and airflow. With the input from TNO, Sensix is developing a biofeedback loop so that the immersive experiences can be fine-tuned to the emotional state of the user to provide either highly relaxing or highly stimulating experiences. Also, biosignals can be logged to obtain a continuous report of the user's affective state. I will now show a short demonstration of the Sensix cabin.
You all know virtual reality, of course. You also know augmented reality. But do you know what sensory reality is? Sensory reality is a reality where you are not only getting an audio-visual experience, but one that also stimulates your other senses like smell and touch. This is what Sensix, a company in the Netherlands, is developing, a multi-sensory pod where you can experience virtual reality experiences in an even more immersive way. Basically, this sensory reality pod is a cabin where you are put inside a VR experience, and while you are watching and listening to that experience, the pod also adds temperature, scent and wind so that all your senses are stimulated. Your brain will think you are on the beach or on holiday. The cabin comes in different sizes, a large and medium. The one I tried was a medium-sized pod, which is a big rectangular box that reminds me of a sauna. You enter through a glass door, and on the left wall there's a touchscreen that accesses the control panel to launch experiences. Inside the pod there is a bench to sit, and on all walls except the glass door are a couple of heat panels, and between one of the heat panels are little holes where scent comes out. Above these panels are light panels, and little blowers are mounted next to those where the wind comes out. Next to the wind mounts are speakers. And all over the ceiling there is a big light panel too. Well, those kind of light panels are used for when someone wants to use the pod without a VR headset. Sensix worked closely with neuroscientists to focus on how the brain works, where questions were answered like, why do people relax in nature? What do they experience, and how does that work with your hormones and emotions? The most important thing that Sensix learned here was that your brain constantly saves memories, but also emotions. Those emotions are connected to those memories. And the moment you think back to those memories, you can re-experience your emotions too.
The Sensix Experience Pod is the ultimate experimental platform for testing consumer behavior and experience in a wide variety of ambiances. For instance, we all know the effect that the wine you drank in Italy during your holidays never tastes the same back home. Imagine how good the wine would taste again in the Sensix Experience Pod while recreating your holiday's ambience, together with its corresponding smells, wind and temperature. So my second proposition is, consumer testing in virtual, augmented or mixed reality can be more informative than standard lab testing. Here I show both propositions again, and thank you for your attention.